What's going on, everybody? Been a while, but very excited to actually jump on YouTube and do a little bit more of a market sentiment update here every other week or at least once a month to really break down what's going on in the market. For those of you that have been following along over the years, my material, my concepts, theories, and just even ideas in the cryptocurrency space, really excited to dive deep. And let's just get straight to it. So currently, folks, we have BTC here trading at around 68,435. And what I want to introduce to you, if you've never actually watched this or are particularly involved in the cryptocurrency space, something that I've been really sharing, studying, and teaching on are 4-year cycles. And these 4-year cycles are quite repetitive. We've been seeing these play out statistically, of course, since around 2009. And of course, history always repeats itself until it doesn't. But I really want to break this down for the new viewer, or maybe to get a refresher for those of you guys that are on. And this is a good guidance to understand where we are in the bull market, the steps within the bull market, how volume flows into different sectors and categories within the cryptocurrency space. And also when we could get an idea of a potential market top, and get an idea of where, of course, alts will start moving. So let's get straight to it, everybody. I'm going to blow this chart up a little bit more so you guys could really understand just the foundation of the 4-year cycles. We have pretty much 4 important parts within a 4-year cycle. We have the green box represent the bull cycle. Red box represents the bear market. We then have our first level of accumulation with the reaccumulation, and of course the full-on bull market. Folks, since of course we've seen recently BTC, we made our highs back at around 67,000, prior cycle 64, 67,000, depending on, of course, platform. We then were able to pull back here the 16s. Now, currently speaking, everybody, since of course the low that was made here at around 15,000, we have been trading in this bullish cycle now for about 547 days. And to just really give you perspective, typically just measuring time, I'm very big on measuring time, price, and understanding the emotional cycles that plays a part in cryptocurrency, both in the long term, in the short term, whether you're margin trading or really right now in your spot bag in your portfolio, such as what we're looking at right now. What I really want to break down is, of course, where we currently are. We've just crossed over through, of course, the Bitcoin halving, and want to give you guys an update of where I think the market could be, where we could really set some targets and the market could slow down. But it's really important for you guys to understand that there's a lot of room still potentially left, anywhere from about, I'd say anywhere from 300 to maybe even another 500 days or so here in this bullish cycle. So this could turn into the next year and possibly mid 2025 or so to give us now some significant push, especially now with ETFs, both for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and who knows what other altcoins are actually to come. But I'm going to be making some videos, everybody, covering certain categories and topics. Today, I just want to cover price action, really get an understanding of the 4-year cycle and the macro structure of the chart. And I will be making a little bit more content for you to really understand what ETFs actually are, how it'll impact where the reserves are for BTC, and how you could really get a good understanding of the impact correlated, of course, to gold and what we've seen in the past since 2004 when the first ETF actually came about for gold. So let's start it out here with BTC. BTC, we've had a really strong structure, everybody. We've, of course, so far, we've printed an all-time high here, at least on Bitstamp's chart feed, to around 73,794. Ever since then, we have had a decent pullback so far. We've really respected, but we did need to retest at least a lot of these levels. Price filled a good amount of imbalance here on this massive candle that we had in February 26th of 2024. And if we really break this down here on the daily, just to get an understanding so far where price currently sits, we could be in the middle of a distribution area here, Wyckoff distribution, for a potential move to the 50s. But in my opinion right now, we are seeing a good amount of strength. We did respect the lower push here to the mid 50s, lower 60s. And so far, we've really made an attempt here to crack 71 at this current moment of this range. So we actually pull this up, we're going to keep just an eye on this high right here, which was 73,637. And this is really the range that I think we could be potentially trading here for a while. If you are watching this and you have altcoins, I'm going to get into those, but it's really important to understand where BTC sits. Where can we be heading? Where will it drag alts? Are we just going to sit in this range and hopefully, summer comes along and we see some of these alts and most of these coins now pick back up? There's been a lot of indecision, and of course, the uncertainty has created a lot of some alts to be creating new lows or even pull back to the beginning cycle lows. So we really got a good idea of where BTC currently sits. So this is the 4-hour chart, everybody. We're not going to be looking at trades. We're really just understanding the structure here for BTCs. You could see on the macro structure, it is just clear as day. We are still in a bullish cycle. There has been really no invalidation of this bullish push or strong impulse that we've had. Of course, with any all-time high, typically once we test prior all-time high, we typically tend to see rejections. You have to keep in mind there have been a lot of orders and of course retail stuck with a lot of positions here prior, and or it becomes a really good area of liquidity for of course folks to take profit, being either large institutions or of course large holders. Ever since then though, we have pulled back. We've held 56. Weekly chart has shown that we've been able to so far hold 56,000, still with the possibility of testing the lows. However, if we manage to hold this structure ever since we really had what we could consider a little bit of a bearish channel that we had here after the BTC ETF was actually introduced, we had about a month, about really over 32 days where we had bearish price action, and we've been able to actually break this structure and now retest the prior highs that you guys are seeing here at around 72. And of course here at around almost 74,000. Here what we're looking at is if price is able to now hold this level, right? Which is, in my opinion, anywhere from 65 to 66 is really the optimal level here of support here for BTC. If we're able to now hold this somewhat of a flag structure, which so far we're currently doing, this might be that third test or attempt that we're seeing here on the macro structure to actually break above this area of resistance that we have here for BTC. So just to give you guys an idea, and I like always playing both sides of the coin, this space tends to be filled with moon boys or, folks that only really look to the upside potential, but I'm a day trader myself, so I'm always seeing both biases to the market. We could easily break this flag and create a move to the 1.618, head to 75,000, maybe 81, maybe even at 87, make new all-time highs. But there's also a possibility of a swing failure and trading back, not just to the mid 60s, but seeing a test of 60, maybe even making a new low, breaking 56,000 and revisiting this area back here of the lower 50s. I think right now the probability is leaning towards, of course, more of a push to the upside. We're taking it day by day, everybody, of course, just at the current moment, at least the monthly closure here for the month of course, May, as it is May 30th. So far, we've really respected and shown some significant volume. If you actually show it here on the monthly, we're seeing some decent volume come in. Ethereum also has flipped with, of course, the ETH BTC chart showing a perfect print. But right now, we are seeing a doji. So that's why, hence, I want to just, of course, give you guys those two biases of giving you guys a really good understanding that if we manage to hold this area, enough volume comes in, right? We lower it here to the 4-hour chart. We could be seeing here a break and an attempt of tagging 70,000, and possibly if we break through 72, seeing now our real first push towards the prior all-time high since around April 8th of this year. So at least for BTC, it is showing strength. The more that we can hold this level, the better that we could, of course, have a chance. But if we do have a swing failure, then of course, we'll take it a step at a time and see if price can actually hold or if we're going to be seeing a pullback. So far, we've had a really clean Elliott wave structure, everybody, here for, of course, BTC. If I actually pull this up just so you guys could see, we've had our first impulse right here. We had a decent pullback, second impulse. So right now, if we actually take a look, we could be seeing that last leg, at least on this 30-day cycle that we're actually witnessing here for price, which is here about pushing it around 43 days. Everything, in my opinion, is always measured by time and price. And typically this last impulse that we're seeing could be a large one if we actually see a measured move. We could be seeing the likes of around, 79,000, maybe cracking that $80,000 mark, right? So that's what I see here for BTC. At least today we did attempt to have a little break. Market really has been holding the range, which is good for price. But if we start losing this base, we have, little by little, I've had low, higher, low, higher, low. We have, of course, now our structure. This is coiling. Eventually, we'll probably see a move. It wouldn't surprise me if we actually maybe still pull back and trade mid 67s. But eventually, you will see this chart, and this is going to drastically affect the alts. And the reason being, everybody, we actually pull up now. This is the chart here covering everything except the top 10 alts. So you can see most of course, I wouldn't say most, but at least BTC, we have cracked a new all-time high, right? And currently, at least alts, not a majority of them, depending whether they've been around for 3, 4, 5 years or they're really a new project, most of them, we actually haven't seen that volume, that massive volume that we saw once we really came into alt season, or really whatever it is you want to call it, where we reached 422 billion specifically on this chart, and even close to $500 million here on this specific chart. I feel like once BTC is able to really have a clear direction and then range, you'll be able to see a lot of the alts. And if you're not aware, right, volume in the market is always shifting. Typically it goes into the majors, Ethereum, let's say Sol. Once enough of an impulse or volume enters, BTC, Ethereum, and Solana, different sectors, whether it's memes, whether it's, mostly the Solana ecosystem, you'll see it all the time, DePIN or DeFi, you'll see volume starts to shift, of course, once new highs are made and price tends to range. So I'll make a video on that to go a little bit deeper. But as of right now, what we're really looking at is keeping an eye here on BTC. Does it have enough strength to break? Monthly close is looking very good. We still have about a day and 3 hours or so. And the weekly chart, it's giving enough of an impulse to see if we could crack these highs. If not, so far we have a doji. Let's see really how price plays out. But the probability, in my opinion, is probably still leaning towards the fact that we'll take out 73 very, very soon rather than testing 56. As we all know, the world of cryptocurrency is filled with surprises. So let's see how, of course, the books trade over the next couple days, maybe the new month here in June, and we'll keep an eye on that. Now, in regards to, of course, Ethereum, ETH, of course, the massive speculation and then announcement of the Ethereum spot ETF, not actively trading yet, but of course, a large announcement and of course, a significant moment for the cryptocurrency space. We had a huge, really depends how you view the charts. Everyone has a different motto or way of calling structure, but to me, this was really a bullish wedge playing out here, at least for ETH. The beautiful thing about Ethereum, we have not really tested a prior all-time high. So we've been at 48.54. And now that institutions, and I'll get into this in another video, now that institutions right now are coming on board with Bitcoin and they have a product that could be traded, it's a totally different atmosphere of clients, money, and it's really traditional finance now is entering the market. So now that Ethereum, you have to think of it, if I'm not mistaken, I think about 4 to 5% of the world currently, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully I have that stat correct, owns crypto, holds Bitcoin, is aware of it, right? So, but the majority, of course, is fully involved in BTC. Ethereum is still a new product to traditional finance. and just the rest of the world. You know, people are still getting and crossing over. And if you're in cryptocurrency, I know it's hard to believe, but the reality is every corner store and merchant business still does not even take Bitcoin as, of course, a currency or a form of payment. So Ethereum is still, of course, a something very new to people, and especially now that it's an ETF, it's giving now, look at it as a new spotlight as a asset, a product for traditional finance. And I think this is going to be really something big for the ecosystem of Ethereum. So in regards to Ethereum, we've seen, of course, our high here at around 4860 with still a lot of potential to run. Understanding the cycle and where we've been here for, of course, Ethereum, this has been, you know, a long time coming here for this pair. I really do believe that in this cycle, it's very likely to see 5,000, 6,000, but really the first overall target or area of interest, in my opinion, is going to be in the mid sixes, probably $7,000 here with this Fibonacci extension is where we currently are. There's a lot of buildup of volume. We really haven't had this amount of volume actually come in quite some time. If you actually take a look on the charts, and this will surprise you, which is actually really good because we've been having to have an on-ramp of volume here for specifically Ethereum in a long time. So this recent candle that we've had here on this week, of course, the big speculation was that same amount of volume, a little bit lower than what, of course, took that year-to-date high here at around 4,000 here, which was in March. So what we really want to be seeing here with Ethereum is understanding that we have our high, year-to-date high, 4,000, 4,100 and some change. We were able to, of course, break from this downward channel, and now there's still some imbalance, and that's where I want to give you both biases. There's still that possibility, of course. We really look at the Bitcoin spot ETF after 30 days after that speculation announcement, we saw a retracement. You know, the typical crypto buy the rumor, sell the news. Question is, with Ethereum now, will we see that same, you know, fractal repeat or instance repeat? Here, based off technical analysis, in my opinion, there's still that possibility of at least seeing a retracement here to around the 382, possibly the 50, and tagging this prior high that we're seeing right here. If, of course, we're looking for some sort of re-entry. But so far, really, this area held very well here for Ethereum here at the lows of 2,800 or so. 3,000 and under was really strong level of accumulation overall. And so far, we're really just seeing a big impulse, which we'll notice now if we can get that first really large break of 4,000, which could then create a new all-time high for Ethereum. So just looking at the bigger picture here for ETH, right? We pull the weekly chart. Typically, we always see Ethereum historically trade sideways, and it's a really a chop. I always call it a sideways chop on how price really trades, as you could see it over here. Right now, I think it's really built a strong base. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if we get a little bit of a rejection and we pull back here to the 382. But I'm still leaning towards the fact, everybody, that we could be seeing these extensions here very soon. So if we do get those retracements, I expect, of course, the levels of 3,600 and possibly even around 3,500 to hold. The shallower, the better the impulse that we're seeing. So if we're considering, for example, an Elliott wave count, right? We want to, of course, the shallower the retracement typically shows the more strength that the market tends to have. If we were to call this the Elliott structure, we have an ABC correction, and here we're seeing our first impulse. What we really want to be looking for is a shallow retrace, and that shallow retrace, if we actually take a look here from the low to the high, shallow in my book would be anywhere from 236, 382, even the 50, 618. Now we start getting a little bit deeper. It doesn't mean that an Elliott wave count can't happen, but considering the fact that we really want price to break the fours and, of course, see a new all-time high, it would be a little bit better to see the 236, 382 or the 50 here on the Fibonacci scale. We have crossed also. I don't keep an eye too much on EMAs, but we have crossed you'll now be seeing a lot of these EMAs active support. And the beautiful thing, both for BTC and also now Ethereum, is if we actually take a look on the larger scale, I do follow the RSI. I think it's a really useful indicator to really get an idea of just, it's a momentum based indicator. You really get a good understanding as to, besides the emotional side of the market, you really get an understanding of how overbought or oversold. Now the RSI, quick little lesson, on larger time frames, I really don't go off the 70 or the 30, which are default settings. I really go on a more of an extended approach, whether it's 20 and 10 and whether it's 80 and 90, due to the fact that this is a really particular market where you see full-on extensions of volume and movement. So you can't really have the default settings to really measure momentum on the larger scale. But what I wanted to cover is, you take a look here on the RSI where we've been, for example, when we peaked at 20,000, RSI was trading here at 95. When we peaked here at around on the cycle at 69,000, prior we were at 70. On that first initial all-time high, we reached 92. So there, even though we already made a new all-time high, we peaked here to around 77, and we have reset that oscillator, right? We have really brought it back almost even to the 50 on the daily, which gives us not so much now for Ethereum, but Ethereum actually dropped all the way to the 37. So there's room to run is what I'm pretty much trying to explain, based off just, the indicator of the RSI. XRP right now with litigation, it's been a really long process of almost 4 years. 50 cents surprisingly has held even where a lot of these alts have really, sold off and haven't really held too strong. XRP has really been holding the structure, not the cleanest of structures. We could consider this an ascending wedge, bearish flag, whatever it is you want to call it. But so far, price has really been holding here, the mid 40s, and trying to hold on here to the 50 cent mark. Like a lot of the pairs that we're seeing at the current moment, I think XRP is probably still going to chop. Now, the next question is, does it become that next, ETF? The spot ETF. Does Solana become the next spot ETF, or is it Chainlink? I feel like those are really the top 3 contenders. We'll get into that in the next video. But at least for XRP's sake, there's a lot of room to run. Unfortunately, there's a lot of suppression based off not just holders and large market manipulators, but really the legal case until, of course, either there's a settlement, the case is won or lost. And it's also probably going to birth a lot of regulation to the cryptocurrency space. So we'll really see. We got to see some really large moves so far in 2023 and some really big pushes. We got to about 94 cents, but we really haven't even been able to test again the 74 cents since around really of March of this year. So we'll see how price really starts to hold. If not, we'll go to that really strong level of support here down in the 30s if, of course, BTC and Ethereum aren't able to hold. It's totally normal. And again, before we even change topic, for, of course, us to still pull back to the 50s and still hold this bullish cycle strength, as, of course, we tend to range. If you actually look at historical charts, you really tend to see that after the halving, before really the next impulse, you'll really see that it takes about anywhere from, I would say roughly 90 to around 120 days after the halving. Because, of course, there's a big speculation of it. There's an actual announcement. There's that post-halving correction. And then for really when it takes out that high, you're seeing here even 189 days. So we could be seeing a flat summer. If, of course, that indecision factor continues, I feel like alts are still going to take a toll. But if we're able to range, create a new high, it's still possible for us to still range till around August here for BTC, but still hopefully making some impulses. But just something to keep in mind. I'm all about fractals and just seeing how price tends to repeat itself. And a lot of these events, even with traditional finance now being involved, as heavy as they are, we're still seeing a repeated event here overall. So at least with Ethereum, as of today, we're still at 37.50. We'll wait here to see if price is able to hold. Price is really holding strong so far. And we'll really be patient to see how this impulse continues. As of least right now, at least on this daily channel that we've had ever since, of course, making a high back at around 39.73. Once we're able to break this structure, we should be able to see a move here tagging back to 4,000. And this might be that impulse that we've been looking here for Ethereum to tag a new high. So I really just wanted to focus on those three pairs, everybody. We, of course, have Solana. I'll briefly cover what I feel like we might be seeing. Will we have Solana summer? Will we have this ecosystem really take off? To me, I think Solana is probably one of the largest contenders to be a top 3 cryptocurrency. Quite frankly, we're seeing it climb, and the ecosystem has drastically grown here tremendously this cycle. So really exciting to even be seeing it as it made a high here at 188, and prior here on the cycle 209, and of course 204. So at the current moment, very healthy structure. We've had, you know, our ABC correction from the bearish cycle. We've then made our impulse, and we could still be seeing a move all the way here to around 221, and possibly, if we get a full-on market completion of this bullish cycle, I think it wouldn't surprise me for Solana, where it sits on, of course, market capitalization, to even hit that 3.618 here at around $444. Great number to take a look at, and that 3.618 would actually be a really nice number if we actually see some of the prior cycles, and just so you could see some of the extensions of how they play out. For those of you that are not familiar with Fibonacci's, I'm a big believer. I use them both on my macro analysis and also my intraday analysis for margin trading on futures. You could see that it really plays an important role to kind of map and really get an overview or a zone or an area of interest where you can start, you know, offsetting risk, right? You know, you're typically taught in cryptocurrency to average in, or dollar cost averaging. But if you've been a part of any cycle, it's not just important how you enter the cycle or the market. It's extremely important to have now targets, understanding how to slowly, right, reducing risk and reducing volume, and having targets on the way up. If anything has shown you in history, everybody, is these cycles repeat themselves, right? So you don't want to be, you know, caught holding any of these bags here as, of course, the market completion comes to an end. And we'll see then. I still feel like we'll still get bullish markets and bearish cycles. And of course, markets will retrace, and eventually there will be a peak move both for alts and, of course, the majors. But that's why it's really important, guys, have a plan on how to, number one, select a coin, average into a coin, and also understanding how to average out. So really excited to have these updates with you guys. I'll keep it short here, under 30 minutes. I hope you guys got really just some market update. Really, that was the purpose, some value, get a good understanding of where we sit. And hopefully with BTC where it is, it could drag now some of the alts. Most of them are still hurting from, of course, the last correction that BTC and Ethereum had. Some even made new lows. Some are tagging the initial inception of this bullish cycle low. So, and some are actually just underwater entirely for now the year-to-date price. So we'll keep an eye on it. Some of the future videos that you will start to see on this channel is, of course, the understanding of the ETFs, both for Bitcoin and Ethereum, the reserves, the implication of course, and of the market of traditional finance, and how you guys will actually start to see that the impact that it had on gold. Now, it is 20 years apart, but I have some really interesting statistics that I'd love to educate you guys and really show you, so you can get the bigger picture of course, where crypto is headed. Because, of course, crypto is not going anywhere. It only progresses cycle after cycle. So I'm really excited about that. But everybody, it's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure to subscribe and like the video, share it if you found some value, and I will be seeing you guys all on the next video. We'll probably be covering ETFs in the following, and I'll see you guys all then. Take care.